Good morning, my name is Jess, and today I will be conducting a review on a research paper which explores the effect of physical activity on the gross motor skill development in children with autism spectrum disorder, also known as ASD. A search strategy was determined by identifying keywords and synonyms such as physical exercise, gross motor skills, children, and autism spectrum disorder. This was to enable effective search on PubMed for the article, whereby it appeared at number 1 of 21 search results total. The study design was a randomized control trial whereby participants were either randomly assigned to an experimental or a control group to enable effective comparison. Looking into the background, autism spectrum disorder is a condition known to often cause delays or difficulties in gross motor skill development, like balancing and coordination. This impacts physical activities, daily functions, and social interactions. Physical exercise is known to play a neuroprotective role, enhance sensorimotor skills, and improve social skills. There is heavy emphasis in this field of research on the role of physical activity in improving cognitive, physical, and behavioral components of individuals, except the best intervention is yet to be determined. This paper aims to answer the question, does a structured physical exercise program result in gross motor skill development in children aged 4 to 7 with autism spectrum disorder in comparison to children receiving conventional physiotherapy? 40 children aged 4 to 7 were recruited from a neurological rehabilitation center with ASD in Colombia. Prior meetings were conducted with parents to provide authorization, and 20 of the initial 40 ended up not participating due to either declining or not fitting the inclusion criteria. The remaining 20 were split evenly into an experimental or a control group. The experimental group participated in structured exercise program, which was 3 60-minute sessions per week for 8 weeks and included exercises like running, jumping, throwing, kicking, and climbing in repeated circuits. The control group received conventional physiotherapy for this time, but no exercise. The gross motor skills were assessed before and after the intervention by a neutral trained evaluator using the EAD3 scale, which was 36 age-appropriate motor skill categories, and evaluations were based on observed performance. Statistical analyses like the ANOVA test were also conducted to prove data reliability. The findings of this paper show that participants in the experimental group experienced observable improvements in gross motor skills like running, jumping, kicking, and also coordination and balance. The experimental group had an increase in the mean test scores by 11.2 from before to after the intervention, whereas the control group only had a 0.8 increase. This shows that the experimental group was much more effective in developing their gross motor skills, and an ANOVA test also supported the findings as the p-value was less than 0.001, showing statistical significance and data reliability. There were also positive behavioral changes which were noted, like improved social interaction and compliance with instructions. This provides empirical evidence on the positive correlation between physical activity and gross motor skill development in children with ASD. This paper provides significant findings, and the topic of exploration was crucial for the healthcare field in terms of providing focus on non-pharmacological treatments. Non-pharmacological treatments are strategies that can immensely improve daily functioning and quality of life for children living with this condition. This is a sustainable, safe, and natural approach to improving living with this disease and empowers individuals to increase their independence. Some specific real-world applications include in educational settings, such as school and special education departments, and providing children with ASD and incorporating physical activity into their learning can support this development. Also, educational programs can enhance the importance of physical activity and show them how being consistent will really help. Additionally, in clinical settings such as for pediatricians and physiotherapists, incorporating exercise programs and focusing the interventions on this will help children remain engaged and will teach them that exercise can be fun and engaging as opposed to a chore. Also, for public health, creating initiatives to educate individuals on the power of physical activity is so crucial, and small things can be done, such as creating things like free community boot camps for children with ASD so that they can engage and be encouraged and also meet other children like them. Additionally, in family settings, some parents and families can struggle with disorders like this as they aren't sure how they can help. So physical activity can be done anywhere at any time and can encourage them to support their families in the diagnosis. Limitations for this include the small sample size. As the sample size was only 20 children, this really limits the scope of available insights. This limits the application of the findings to broader populations, and also because the children were all aged 4 to 7, we're unsure as to whether this would be effective in older adults. The lack of follow-up also shows that we're unable to know whether the findings were sustained over time and had long-term effects, as we only saw the insight into straight after the intervention. Additionally, limited diversity limits scope, as we're unsure whether these findings are applicable, as different ethnicities and different individuals struggling with ASD might experience different symptoms and not have the same improvements. Initially, there was lack of intervention specificity, as some exercises like throwing and climbing were unsure what they were throwing, what they were climbing, and these specificities could be useful in determining the nature and extent of applied exercises. Overall, these highlighted limitations should be addressed to improve future research and studies. Thank you.